Welcome back, True Seeker. Want to say thank you to all the people who left really good comments and feedback last night on the premature passing of Matthew Perry. If you missed that video, I only streamed it on one channel. It was on GematriaEffectNews 25, and there were a lot of great comments left, but there was one comment that stood out to me above all about the significance of Matt Perry. Again, we talked about this, him dying at age 54, the night of a full moon, the hunter's moon. We talked about that significance, but it was also the day of a partial eclipse. And funny enough, the character he played on Friends, Chandler Bing, that character actually has a birthday if you look it up. And Chandler Bing, again, his character, not Matthew Perry's birthday, but Chandler Bing's birthday is April 8th in the year 68, which of course is an infamous year. But April 8th, upcoming 2024, it's been on the map for a long time for skywatchers. It's a major total solar eclipse, which are a pretty rare phenomenon. And we had a big one also in 2017, which was a type that comes every 99 years. The one that comes April 8th, 2024, also quite rare. And again, Friends ended 19 years ago. The show had ended in 2004. 19 is a very special number to the moon, as we've talked about so many times. The Hebrew calendar is on a 19-year cycle in sync with the moon, because the moon's on a 19-year cycle. That's why every 19 years, the holy days on the Hebrew calendar fall on the same day of the week. So let's look at this in light of Gematria, and let's notice that Matthew Perry's last Instagram post was his 83rd post all-time on his account. And again, it's him under the moonlight in his jacuzzi where he was reportedly found dead at his home. And it was posted just days before his passing. If you're new here, the 83 posts is curious because, again, there's a big song by the band The Police, Singer Sting, you know a lot of their songs, Roxanne, and so many more. Every breath you take, the police will be watching you. Think about that in the new Orwellian police state we live in. But they have a song from the album Synchronicity, which came out in 83, called Murder by Numbers, where killing is the sport of the elected, and it's as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3. In the code of letters and numbers, which is known as Gematria or Isopsophy, the word murder equals 83. So how interesting that this would be his last post. And also interesting about the number 83 is it's the 23rd prime number in Gematria. End equals 23. This comes in 2023 near the end of the year. And again, if you've never seen the film Murder by Numbers with Sandra Bullock and Ryan Gosling, notice how they code into the letters of the words. The E becomes a 3, the B becomes an 8. You can see murders 38 or 83 within the words. In Gematria, the English form of the system, again, the word murder equates to 83 when you just run the alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26, and murder equals 38 if you run the alphabetic order in reverse numerology. Keep in mind the character name Chandler equals 38 as well, and we talk about these same patterns persistently in premature celebrity death, or sacrifice, if you will. But let's go through everything again, why it matters that he died at age 54, and let's really put this together, the ritual, who's doing it, how much sense it makes when you look from a historical lens. So look at this. His full name is Chandler Muriel Bing. This is his character name in the hit show Friends that made him a millionaire many times over. It was a story back then that they were getting paid $1 million per episode, and this is in a time when $1 million was worth a lot more than it is today. $1 million back then is probably $2 million today. But anyhow, the last episode of Friends was in 2004, again, 19 years ago. The moon's on a 19-year cycle. He's dead under the full moon. But from that anniversary of the last episode, May 6th, to his passing, October 28th, and again, look up the verse Matthew 10:28. Look up that verse, not this being Matthew Perry. But it's 175 days later. And this number's bigger than just Chandler Bing. If you've ever seen my work on 9/11, we get into why Flight 175 was one of the flights on that day. We'll talk about this in light of the Indianapolis shooting that's big in the news today as well. But notice Chandler Muriel Bing, 175. The character dead exactly 175 days, or the man who played the character, I should say, 175 days after the anniversary of the last episode. And again, you had this partial lunar eclipse October 28th, as well as the full Hunter's moon. And notice the gematria of Hunter's moon. Alphabetic order forwards, alphabetic order in reverse. Both ways when you apply numerology, 54 forwards and backwards, a very special number. We always reference the film They Live, where Cable 54 is the enemy of the world, and what order this number points to. It's funny, that order, their logo is an eclipse, and I'm talking about the Jesuit order, who has a big affinity with the number 54. So anyhow, Matthew Perry, dead at 54 on the day of the Hunter's moon, which equals 54 forwards and backwards. And again, his character birthday, April 8th, and this year, April 8th, will be the day that we have the total eclipse that goes along the 25th parallel north. Now, that's interesting because 175 days is also the same as 25 weeks. And we talked about this last night, the significance of the 25 weeks. The word drown equals 25. The word death equals 25. Another familiar pattern. So, and you consider he died in water. We're talking about the moon. The moon is Cancer, a water sign. If you want to bring in the astrological piece, again, we'll go revisit the moon landing in history, why it happened in the time of Cancer on July 20th, 69. His post from the jacuzzi under the moon, it's from October 23rd, the day, leaving 69 days left in the year. Again, we'll get to why the moon landing was in 69, where it ties in with the moon landing and more, including the upcoming eclipse, and this being his death being on the day of the partial eclipse. And don't forget Chris Cornell. We'll bring in the Chris Cornell piece too, because Chris Cornell was the really big celebrity to die in his early 50s, right before the total solar eclipse of 2017. And then don't forget that the Linkin Park lead singer died on Chris Cornell's birthday. Supposedly both men hung themselves, and they both had songs relating to eclipses. Of course, Soundgarden with Chris Cornell was the more famous song, Black Hole Sun. But again, we'll bring it all together here. And I wish I knew more. Like, I know more about Chris Cornell than I do Matthew Perry. I've never seen an episode of Friends. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of it because it's been on the TV when I've been in the room. Such a popular show. We all know what it is. I can tell you what the hit song is to the show, but I've actually never watched an episode. And from his death to the upcoming eclipse will be 163 days later. Again, that's the 38th prime number. And just like how we were talking about again, in Gematria, murder equals 38, death equals 38, killing equals 38, RIP equals 38, Chandler equals 38, super fateful number. And just, again, there are 4 base ciphers. And when you run the alphabetic order in reverse numerology, murder's 38. When you just run the alphabetic order, death is 38. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse, RIP is 38. The word killing is 38. So is the word gematria. There's the song Gematria, the killing name by the band Slipknot. Gematria and killing both 38. Again, it's the practice of coding numbers into words. English is 38. Energy is 38. You think about this nation's capital, which is named the Masonic City, the occult. The Masons are occult. Occult means hidden, just like how there's a hidden code within the language. But DC's on the 38th parallel north. And again, the nation's War Department, which is responsible for a lot of killing, Pentagon 38. And again, with regards to numbers, just think about the Pentagon. 5-sided object, 5 floors above ground, 5-acre court in the middle. From there, you can see the 555-foot tall Washington Monument. America equals 50 in Gematria, 50 states and a bunch of territories. The numerology of 50 is 5. Again, numerology is important to the occult. It's important to people who understand the Bible, too. The 4th book of the Bible is Numbers. There is numerology within the English translations of the Bible. The rituals they perform correspond with what's in the Bible. It's not an accident, the verse Matthew 10:28, if you look it up, in light of the day he died. And let's talk about why that is as well. Matthew 10:28. Matthew Perry dead on 10:28. The verse reads, "Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell." Now, again, with regards to the word kill, Notice how in Gematria, kill is 44 with the alphabetic order, 64 with the reverse alphabetic order, 28 with the reverse alphabetic order in numerology. He died on October 28th, the day leaving 64 days left in the year, 44 years after his first acting credit, which that anniversary just passed on October 1st of this year. Did a show in 1979 with his father, and as we talked about, his father's still alive. His father's in his 83rd year of life right now. He'll officially turn 83 January 4th, 2024. His father, a career actor before his son was born, and obviously benefited from his father being in the business. If you missed yesterday's video, you see how home box office for HBO's 126 and 54? They said Matthew Perry's worth 126 million. The last Friends episode was the reunion episode 126 weeks before his death on HBO or home box office. And again, if you're new here, we've shown how many actors connected to HBO have died in rituals just like this with the same number patterns. From what just happened to the young man from Euphoria, to many people in between, to Omar from The Wire, more recently the detective from The Wire, who's also in the John Wick series, who died right before the fourth John Wick came out. So, again, hopefully we're not overwhelming with the numbers, but just 83 posts, 8338 numbers of murder and death. His father in his 83rd year of life. This synced up with the eclipse, which comes in 163 days, the 38th prime. By the way, in Hebrew, in the original code of letters and numbers, the word moon equals 38 in Hebrew. So 38 does have a lunar connection as well as a death connection. And I mean, how many haunted movies and cartoons have you seen where the witches are out under the full moon and doing nefarious things? Old classic horror movies about, babysitters coming over on the night of a full moon and not realizing that she's, babysitting the vampire family or the satanic sacrifice family. They're revealing bits and pieces of information and entertainment. And that's the world Matthew Perry worked in. And he ends up participating in somewhat of a ritual himself, whether he realized it or not. Again, did he understand when he posted his 83rd post to Instagram? We've shown before where they've shown us in mainstream news what it's like to be an entertainer in this day and age and how they have all these people around them who are planning their activities in their social media posts. So we've already seen how the mainstream media clues us into these people probably for the most part aren't even managing their Instagram page. So who was managing Matthew Perry's Instagram page that made sure at this time we get the 83rd post, his last, right before the death? Again, you guys, you learn this code, you see what goes on year after year. What happened to the actor from Scarface, the film that came out in 83, who died at 83 on August 3rd this year, synced up with Pacino's birthday, who still lives on and is still procreating? You know what I mean? It's like big fish eat smaller fish in the entertainment world, and Matthew Perry wasn't the biggest fish from Friends. Of course, some of those other people did more movies, more shows, more recognition, more magazine covers. The Jennifer Anistons of the world and whatnot. I guess even the one guy, Joey, got his own show named after him. Okay, the part about who's doing this. The Illuminati, you guys, what was in the history books a real thing in the past that is now over. That's the way it is in the history books. The Illuminati was formed May 1st, 1776 by Adam Weishaupt, who was Jesuit trained. Again, you guys, Jesuit Orders 54. John Carroll, very prominent Jesuit who established the first Jesuit university in the U.S., Georgetown, at age 54. He's got the 54, 126 thing. The Jesuit logo is the sun. They're a sun cult. They also have a big Saturn piece. That's why the first ever Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, is born on Saturnalia. We can get into that. But coming back to the Illuminati thing. Again, his post in the hot tub is from October 23rd, the day leaving 69 days left in the year. The moon being so central to this. The moon landing in 69, again, in the time of Cancer. Cancer's astrological symbol looks like 69. And the moon landing was July 20th, 1969. The first man to walk on the moon was Neil Alden Armstrong, which equals 201, just like how July 20th is the 201st day of the year. Where Illuminati is 69, notice how Order of Illuminati is also 201. And again, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt founded the Illuminati. He died in history on November 18th, which is a specific day too. But the day he died was 201 days after the anniversary of May 1st, the day the Illuminati was founded. And, with regards to what's going on in Israel right now, if you learn this code, you'll see how Israel was created by the same code. State of Israel's 201, its official title. David Ben-Gurion died 201 days after the anniversary of Israel's establishment. But the Illuminati and the 201 thing, if you write out the Jesuit order, it's also 201. Again, we are in the time right now of the first ever Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. His birth name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, which is 201. He's the first Jesuit Pope and the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. And again, Domus Sanctae Marte, if you look it up, that's the name of the building where his apartment is. The first Pope to live in it, in Suite 201. And if you look further, you'll find that before it was called the Domus Sanctae Marte, it was a hospital named after the most recent Pope Leo, who died in history on July 20th, the 201st day of the year. In the years leading up to Pope Francis climbing the ranks to become this Pope, the first Jesuit. And to understand why he's the first Jesuit Pope, Isus Hominum Salvator's 266. He's the first Jesuit Pope. The 266th, the Jesuit logo is the sun with an eclipse with the letters IHS and the Templar cross and the three nails for Triclavianism. But the IHS stands for Isus Hominum Salvator. And you see the 122, Pope Francis also equals 122. A whole lot more you can say about that number. San Francisco equals 122. It's on the 122nd meridian. Both Pope Francis and San Francisco are named after St. Francis of Assisi. The word satanic's 122. The Church of Satan was established in San Francisco. Anton LaVey, its founder, died 201 days after his own birthday, he died 201 days. Yeah, he died 201 days after his own birthday and 201 days from the sitting pope at the time's upcoming birthday. And again, the Jesuit order served the Catholic Pope, which is another 201, and then you could get into the CIA, which was founded September 18th, 47, the 201st day of the Pope's age. And the words in the CIA's logo, Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America's 201. And then you could get into their motto, the work of a nation, the center of intelligence, which is 201. Again, look these things up if you doubt it. That's the CIA's motto. And again, Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America, the words in their logo, 201. Again, this number is so huge with this nation, guys. It goes back to the very beginning of the nation, just like how the Illuminati was founded just before the nation. And keep in mind, the Illuminati was founded 64 days before the nation was established, like the 64 spaces on the chessboard. Like how we're talking about Matthew Perry clearly dead in an Illuminati ritual synced up with the next eclipse on the day leaving 64 days left in the year. You know? And there's more that you can say about Matthew Perry and the Jesuits. The 172 stands out because their other top mottos, Ad Merum Dei Gloriam, which is 172. And anyhow, the Illuminati, the moon landing on the 201st day of the year. Think about what the moon is in terms of the Illuminati. It's the thing illuminated by the sun, right? It's in the light, the way we see it. It's at full illumination the day of a full moon, the day of this ritual. It's at totality. And remember this word, heliocentrism, which is 201. We're going to go over the other numbers in heliocentrism here, but notice the 201. In the 16th century, the Jesuit order is recognized by the Roman Catholic Church September 27th, 1540, the day leaving 95 days left in the year, to counter the 95 Theses in Martin Luther and his Protestant Reformation. From the 95 Theses being pinned, which was on Halloween, and isn't it funny that Halloween equals 95 in light of that's the day the 95 Theses was pinned? But from the anniversary of, or from the day that the 95 Theses was pinned to the recognition of the Jesuits, 201 months. It's kind of like MLK killed on the 95th day of the year in 1968, 3 days before the Club of Rome was established, and then the nation's first major gun control 201 days later. And like how they've done all these other 201s and all these mass shootings that you've thought about over the years, from Sandy Hook through, Batman, through Uvalde and many others. You learn this number, you see who's pulling these rituals. But again, heliocentrism. All of these things happened in the 16th century. The creation of the Jesuits, and then decades after their creation, you get the heliocentric model agreed to, where the Catholic Church comes off their high horse about the earth being the center, and now it's the sun. Again, the Catholic Church began as a sun-worshiping cult. We'll talk more about that too, and the language and how it all comes together. But in the 16th century, after the Jesuits, you get the heliocentric model, English standardized with a 26-letter alphabet, and the calendar system that we're on that's named after the Pope. And Pope is 52. We talked about where 175 matters with his character name and him dying 175 days after the anniversary episode. Again, if these you have to think about what the Illuminati is, right? The Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit order who serves the Pope. So at the end of the day, an Illuminati ritual should still be in tribute to the Pope. And yeah, if you do start to research what's in the history books about the Illuminati, this becomes disjointed because supposedly the Illuminati was opposed to the Catholic Church. But what I would say to people who've asked me that question before is, well, the stuff that we get out in the mainstream and the history books, like how authentic and true is that? Or how often is it actually probably the opposite of what we've been told as facts? So anyway, just follow that logic. The Jesuits were created to serve the Pope, win his war against the Protestant Reformation. A member founds the Illuminati, so the Illuminati's against the Pope. Yeah, they can write that in the history book all day. That doesn't really make any sense. What I'm showing makes a lot of sense and adds up day after day. But, and you see how Pope Francis is 59. Let's not forget Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year. Let's not forget how we explained how the 59th election, how Joe Biden would become number 46 exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. Knows Catholic equals 46 to go with the 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, and Catholic equals 35. Like JFK, the first Catholic, number 35, killed at age 46. Biden the second, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. Catholic 145, 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. Israel created to bring about this, revelation scene they got unfolding on 14/5, the 14th day of May. Again, State of Israel, 201. The Jesuit Order, 201. The Holy Bible, 201, using it like a playbook. About the Catholic Church beginning as a sun-worshiping cult. The motto in the Jesuit logo, which is the sun again, with the cross, which to the pagans broke up the 4 seasons, and the pagans are sun worshippers. But the Jesuit motto, Isus Hominum Salvator, is 274. If you look it up, the Catholic Church began celebrating the sun in the sky's birthday in the year 274 AD on the date December 25th, 1225. Notice how Roman Catholic Church is 320. The year 320 was 46 years later. Again, Catholics 46, religions 46, Temple Mount's 46. Catholic Church made Temple Mount the site that's now this most contested religious site. But Roman Catholic Church 320, 46 years later, on 1225, what did they do in 320 AD? That's when they declared 1225 Jesus, the Son of God, his birthday as well. The Catholic Church was trying to recruit the people who had this other spiritual belief about the Son of God. And then you can see as time's gone on, the language has been merged. The word son has dual meaning that fits with male offspring, object in the sky. Again, Sun 54, Jesuit Order 54. We've been talking about all these 201s. Notice how Saturnian order is 201. Notice how Saturn worship is 201. Again, the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis with the 201 name, the first 11 Suite 201, he's also born on Saturnalia. And like Joe Biden, when his son died, Joe Biden Jr. at age 46, he died 201 days before the Pope's birthday. And then the inauguration of the U.S. president is always on January 20th, not the beginning of the month or the end, on the 20th day of the first month, 201, which is also the 201st day of the U.S.'s age each year. And remember, Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan is 201, and you want to look this man up, Jesuit priest, head of Georgetown, once upon a time, and he did the funeral for Beau Biden, who died 201 days for the Pope's birthday, and he did the inauguration for Joe Biden. And remember, Joe was 72 when his son died, Jesuit Order 72, and back in 72, his wife and daughter died in Limestone Road days after he became senator-elect. Now, you might have noticed a few times I typed in 201, 150 came up. Like heliocentrism was one of those things. Notice the word Illuminati. See how it's also 150? Why does that matter? The sun is 150 million kilometers away on average. And they say 93 million miles away as well, miles and kilometers. Order of Illuminati is 93. Illuminati's 150. Order of Illuminati is also 201. Remember Alec Baldwin. 201 days after his April 3rd birthday, which is the 93rd day of the year, they said he killed the Ukrainian woman in a church shootout scene on the set of Rust right before Ukraine-Russia, and they said he killed her at 1:50 p.m. local time. 1:50. And you see the 48 as well. That happened in New Mexico, which is also 48. And again, the eclipse that's coming is on April 8th, 4/8. Part of the Illuminati's plans was to infiltrate many things, including Freemasonry. Freemason is also another 48 word. Again, they go with the whole chessboard flooring. They're making moves. They're calculating. They got knowledge. They got an advantage. They got numbers. Anyway, all of these networks at this day and age, like Freemasonry is a thing that's been hijacked. It doesn't serve the old purpose it used to. Once upon a time, the purpose of Freemasonry was making like honest men with a superior level of knowledge and a network to build on and have strength. At least that's the story, but a lot of people say it's not what it used to be, and it's become more of this thing that's just mostly about power and money and having connections. And again, it's the problem with secrecy. I mean, if a secret thing becomes corrupted, now you have this corrupt, secret, evil thing that it went from good intention, which might have been positive for a community, to negative, and now it's not. Now they're the people that are, gathering the crisis actors, if you know what I mean. So... Here, let me scroll through some of the things. Again, home box office, which is HBO, 126 and 54, dead at 54, 126 weeks after the HBO special. Nothing new. Things we talked about plenty of times before. Again, dead on the day, leaving 64 days left in the year, 44 years after his first acting credit on the 28th, when Kill is 64, 44, and 28. Matthew Perry, 64. Spaces on the chessboard. He died on 61 date numerology. Chandler Bing equals 61. They said he was playing pickleball before his death. 61. Drowned 61. Again, the way the systems work together. Drowned 61, 25. 25 weeks on the nose after the Friends conclusion anniversary. 61 date numerology. Chandler Bing, 61, right? Chandler Bing, 97, the 25th prime. Going with those 25 weeks again. 97th NFL season. They moved the touchback to 25 yards. The Super Bowl was on 2-5. Brady had the 25-point comeback over the Falcons. Bill Belichick won the 97th season, Gotta love that Bill Belichick 83 too. It's right for football. But anyway, you learn this code, you'll never look at any of the world of entertainment the same again. You'll see the script. You'll be able to get ahead of the script, as we've proven so many times. His last movie, Matthew Perry's, his last movie was about the Kennedys. One died in Dealey Plaza, the other died at the Ambassador Hotel. Dealey Plaza, 54. Ambassador Hotel, 54. That was where Robert Kennedy died. Now his son got in the race on the 5th day of the 4th month this year, 144 days, again, after the Jesuit order leader's birthday, Arturo Sosa, born November 12th. And you know what? Arturo Sosa is also born in the year 48. Speaking of Illuminati, there he is, mischievous Arturo. So he'll turn 75 not that long from now. And that's interesting. Him being 74 matters, as we've been talking about a lot with Israel. But Catholic Church, 75. Ignatius of Loyola, 75. What is it? Is it Roman Catholic? Roman Catholic, 75. New World Order, 75. Also 69 like Illuminati. Also 177 like the Jesuit Order. Also 174 like Number of the Beast. But order out of chaos, which is their motto, 75. The word order alone, 75. Again, crazy things happening in Israel as we predicted once they turned 75. Again, let me take you back to this article. October 6, 1940, New York Times, New World Order pledged to Jews. And again, we're not blaming Jews. Don't misinterpret. I got my post taken down for hate speech just for showing this New York Times article. But the point I always make is, the date that this article was written, 10 plus 6 plus 19 plus 40 is 75, like New World Order 75. And I did put out a video, 1229, getting 1229, the 201st prime, State of Israel 201. Netanyahu returned that day after leaving on June 13th, 2021, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. But again, you can watch my video from December 29th. It's on my GematriaEffectNews 22 channel. If you click the videos tab, you should see it because I haven't posted a lot of videos on there. It should be right up at the top. December 29th, Netanyahu's back. What to expect for Israel this year as it turns 75. And we said major war. But notice, what day did the war in Israel break out? It literally broke out one day after the anniversary of this article being written. You know? And not to mention 83 years later. 83 years later. The 23rd prime. Murder 83. People being murdered in Israel and Gaza. Media wants to be able to take sides. It's crazy how they got... I can tell these are like bot accounts online. Like, if I leave a post anywhere on social media about... this is messed up what they're doing to Gaza, which is mostly a nation of women and children. I have all these like bot accounts in no time. Like, oh, this is such hateful. You hate Jews. It's like... no, I just said it. It's messed up that they're going to bomb the living daylights out of a nation... of mostly women and children, because most of the men are dead from the things that have been going on in that region of the world with all the invasions and warfare and the world wars. It's been probably more devastating for that part of the world than maybe any other. And there's been some other places that have been devastated really bad. Africa, I mean, that might be even worse. Asia's like where Sweet Lady's from. Burma, longest going civil war, just people killing each other over religion. Again, the point of this channel is not to blame any religious group for anything. It's to show that there is a cabal and who they are. And it doesn't mean every Jesuit-educated person is fault. It's to show that there are Jesuits in high places that run this nation. That's why you got a Jesuit-educated man in the Oval Office right now, just like you had one before him with Donald Trump. And again, if they're not Jesuits, they're Skull and Bones. They're members of some other secret society that gets its symbolism from the Catholic Church. Again, in the middle of the Jesuit logos, the Templar cross. And the Templars are the old military order of the Catholic Church, whereas the Jesuits are the new one. And with regards to Masonry, you have to have a Templar present, the modern order of Templars present to establish a new lodge. All this stuff's related. But, yeah, 83 years ago. Murder 83. 83 is the 23rd prime. Judaism's 23. End is 23. A lot of people who are into the biblical prophecy think this could be it. All hell's about to break loose. Again, there's a lot more we could say about these topics, but again, Matthew Perry is the focus here. And we're making sure that... Oh, yeah, we talked about how Matthew Perry's first film, not his first acting credit in 79, but his first film in 88 was with River Phoenix, who died in the Jesuit ritual at the Viper Room with Johnny Depp, who's had a lot of bodies connected to him, because he's high on the ladder in the entertainment world. I mean, he's way up there. Not only a movie star, he's a rock star, he's all sorts of things. But Joaquin Phoenix, he died on Joaquin Phoenix's birthday now. He's dead 30 years after River Phoenix, who died Halloween in 93. Remember how they say the sun is 93 million miles away on average? The planet that has gematria of 93 is Saturn. Saturn's considered the dark sun to the occult. It's the keeper of time. And isn't it interesting how they code 93 on it? Aleister Crowley had the old cult religion, Thelema, that worshiped 93. This special number 93. And again, it's in the Illuminati. And lost my train of thought for a second. Oh yeah, just the 30-year return to Saturn. River Phoenix dead in 93 on Halloween, so it's 30 years later. And now Matthew Perry's dead on Joaquin Phoenix's birthday, his brother, who's obviously gotten to live a lot longer life. And River Phoenix got off to the earlier start. It was a bigger name when they were younger. But now Joaquin Phoenix, he's had some prominent roles, long movie career. And, sadly, one day we'll be talking about him as well. Because this is what happens in entertainment. It's a high price. It's that show, The Fall of the House of Usher. You got to make the deal with the devil. What Bob Dylan talked about on 60 Minutes with Ed Bradley, who's now dead. You want to make it in show business, you got to make the deal with the devil. Go listen to what Bob Dylan said almost 20 years ago now. But yeah, the 30-year return to Saturn. We brought up Alec Baldwin earlier. Alec Baldwin, born on the 93rd day of the year. On his birthday, Alec Baldwin in 93, that was the day they buried Brandon Lee, the son of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee died on the 201st day of the year. Alec Baldwin shoots the Ukrainian woman 201 days after his birthday. They said the same person working on the Rust scene was working on the Crow scene when Brandon Lee got shot. Bruce Lee died while filming Game of Death. Game of Death, right? You know what else about Game of Death, in light of where this fits in? That movie they released in 79, if I'm not mistaken. Hold up. What? This must be some new Game of Death. Where's the Bruce Lee Game of Death? Oh, maybe it was... No? Hold on. On the Google, it said June 8th, 79. I could have sworn they released this movie in 79. This one right here says Game of Death came out in 79. If that's true, it came out on June 8th as well. Oh, never mind. That's beside the point. But again, that's the year that Matthew Perry had his first acting credit, and his father's name's 79, and the formal title of the Jesuit Society of Jesus is 79. And we talked about Murder in 83, where that fits in. Murder's also 79 the other way. Chandler, 38. But yeah, Game of Death, if you've never seen it, Bruce Lee gets shot in the plot of the film as an actor in Hollywood. Think about that. That's part of the plot of Game of Death, and then Brandon Lee, his son, gets killed while filming The Crow. And with regards to the whole 38 thing in Death, the Crow's another 38. You know. And there's a lot more to this. In one of the versions of the book that I wrote, just because I've been making my books too long, I had this one on just like all these 201s in weird onset deaths. And then at one point I was like, is this just overkill? I'm making the book so long. Just like have a book on the topic of Game of Death and Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee and Baldwin and all the other connections. Got to go back and read everything I wrote down, though, because I always remember the Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee, and lately the Baldwin thing, because we've talked about it so many times, and those are the biggest names, but it's gone on more than that. Yeah, for people who don't know, I've been working on my third book for like literally going on 3 years now, and I've just been too much of a perfectionist, and I could have finished it a long time ago. But I'm trying to make it just super short and super powerful. It's been about how people got to learn about 201. And why Event 201 was the name of the coronavirus pandemic simulation the day the military world games began in Wuhan, China. Look up the military world games. You'll see they were first credited to the Jesuit order in 95, like their original purpose was to stop the 95 Theses. So you got Event 201, the number of the Jesuits, on the day the military world games begin in Wuhan, China, simulating a coronavirus pandemic that lasts 2 years. And then next thing you know, you got a coronavirus pandemic that lasts 2 years. With a gazillion of the same number rituals over and over. And I did see somebody sent me the link about Matthew Perry when COVID was going on, how he was selling T-shirts about how vaccinated am I? I guess it's some joke pertaining to the Friends show, so I didn't exactly get it. But for the people who see that and say, so he probably died from the jab, I mean, is that really a logical conclusion when we've been showing how these rituals with people being sacrificed by the same numerical code have been happening way before COVID? I don't think that's a logical conclusion. It's a possibility, but I don't think it's a logical conclusion. Again, Chris Cornell died in pretty much the same ritual, and that was well before COVID. So, and by the way, with regards to Chris Cornell and 201, look at Chris Cornell's date of birth, July 20th, the day of the moon landing, in 64, nonetheless. The year Donald Trump started his Jesuit education, the president in the time of Event 201. And Donald Trump last year buried his ex-wife on the 201st day of the year. Number 45 lost his ex-wife 45 years after their marriage. 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year as he runs for the 60th presidential election as Donald Trump equals 60. You know, a couple years before that, his brother died on August 15th, the day the Jesuits were created in Paris, France in history. But Chris Cornell, born on the 201st day of the year, Black Hole Sun, the big song, dead right before the solar eclipse, 201. Chester Bennington from Lincoln Park, dead on Cornell's birthday right after his death. I forget, there's some song in the Lincoln Park catalog that pertains to eclipses. It was pointed out at the time of his passing. From Seattle, Music City, dead in Detroit, another Music City, Motown. Maybe there's something to him dying in Detroit on the 42nd parallel. Black Hole Sun's also 42. Big number in Detroit, 42. You know another big number in Detroit? Detroit's on the 83rd Meridian West. Detroit, Michigan, 83 town, murder town. Even the baseball team got the 83 in it. Man, if you missed last night's video, we talked about John Ritter's death at age 54. He has an old John Ritter in Three's Company. They lived in apartment 201. John Ritter died on the 9/11 anniversary. 2 towers became 0 before they became 1. But John Ritter, dead at 54, in a Three's Company episode that came out on May 4th, 5/4, he joked that he was a Jesuit priest, which equals 54 in the same cipher as Jesuit order, only for him to die all those years later. And don't forget, Roddy Piper, who died on the anniversary of Ignatius Loyola's death, the founder of the Jesuits, again, whose name is also 201. They Live, Cable 54 is the enemy of the world, and that movie came out 201 days after Roddy Piper's birthday, and he tweeted on September 27th, the recognition date, or the anniversary of them being recognized by Rome, the Jesuits. He tweeted that They Live was a documentary. And remember, in They Live, the 201 gang, if you will, the Cable 54 gang, they say they'll have full control of the world by the year 2025. You see how Ignatius Loyola is also 87? Just like the Catholic Church is 87. Just like Number of the Beast is 87. Last year there were so many death rituals on October 28th through the number 87, which is also Bill Gates' birthday. Go on and on about all this stuff. Bill Gates' full name is William Henry Gates, 201. Main co-sponsor of Event 201. Has his office across from the world's biggest needle, the Space Needle, Mr. Jab, up in King County when Corona means crown. And the vaccine went live in the U.S. December 14th, which was the day of a total solar eclipse in the Pope's native Argentina. A corona is also the light that shows around the edge of the eclipse. If you look up the history of where the term corona comes from, it actually comes from New York, where they had there was a sailor in New York who coined the term corona for an eclipse. And I can't remember the sailor's name right now, Spanish guy, but his name is 201. And might be all part of the long Jesuit history. So seems more than coincidence. The Event 201 simulation was in New York, not far from where the World Trade Centers went from 2 towers to 0 again before becoming 1. And don't forget Bill Gates' wife, Melinda French Gates, ex-wife now. Her birthday was August 15th. The Jesuit order's birthday comes from a family of Jesuit priests. Again, that's why you learn this 201 thing, you just see all the way back. The writer of the Constitution, James Madison, 201. The first Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, Chief Justice John Jay, 201. They've been doing the Jesuit rituals with this nation from the beginning. The Illuminati Jesuit network has been here from the beginning. I'll tell you something just weird that I saw just right around me. See how Chief Justice John Jay is also 312? Look how Jorge Mario Bergoglio is 201 and 312, just like Chief Justice John Jay. Again, that's Pope Francis. And his apartment, Suite 201, the Domus Sancte Marte, it's 201 and 312. Something weird near where I live, there's a building in a downtown, and it's at 312, and right on the address, there's a fleur de lis. And I saw it, and I was tempted to go in there and ask it. I said, I just got to ask a question. I said, how come you guys put a fleur de lis on your mailbox? And they said, oh, we've been here for about 6 or 7 years, and that's just been there the whole time. That was here from some other tenant before. I thought, I wonder what used to be here. Because, it's just like, none of the other buildings have the Catholic symbol, but only 312. I thought, man, these people, I'm in a small town out here. These people are... And don't forget that the out here in this small town, the Masonic Lodge and the police department share the same building, and the address is 1229. Again, 1229 is the 201st prime. What do you know? What do you know? So... Here, let me make sure I got everything. Again, they had to say that the emergency report was at 407. Again, it's the 47 code if you don't know about it. Download my ebooks. I've made them free to download. Read all about it and understand what these numbers mean to these people. Friends star Matthew Perry slammed for bad taste with the Cooties merchandise. You know what the Cooties is, right? So. Okay, now just a transition to hit another topic. I think I got all the Matthew Perry stuff in here. A big mass shooting in the news again today. You know, Maine's still in everybody's mind, and now they got another one. We're back into fast and furious with the mass shooting modes. There's only one city in America that equals 201, and it's Indianapolis, right? And so many 201 rituals in Indianapolis. The other year, when the March Madness tournament was in Indiana, and it was Baylor versus Gonzaga. Elgin Baylor went to Seattle University. There are 2 Jesuit schools, universities in Washington State. There's only 27 Jesuit universities in the whole U.S., so 27, 50 states. So on average, about 2 states would have 1 Jesuit university. Washington State has 2. The Bay Area has 2. New York might have more than 2. I got to go double check how many New York has. I know they got Fordham for sure in New York City, Canisius up in Buffalo. I almost want to say there's another one somewhere there. But anyway, there's some cities or in locations where they're more heavy. The reason I think they're more heavy in Washington State, which isn't that big of a populated state, is because the first Jesuit university is Georgetown, which was established the same year George Washington became president. And out of the founders, he was considered more favorable to the Catholic Church than a lot of the others who were more like Protestant and opposed to what was going on in Europe. For people who don't know, America was founded by the Jesuits were suppressed, and a lot of the founders were escaping the tyranny of Europe, which was the Catholic Church who the Jesuits served at the time. Again, all of this has been whitewashed from our 13 years of slave school pledging to the 13 stripes. But this is the real history of the nation. Look up who Abraham Lincoln blamed the Civil War on before his death. He said at the beginning of the war he didn't know, but by the end of the war he fully understood through the men who had educated him that he'd been manipulated, the nation had been manipulated by the Jesuits. He wrote that there never would have been an American Civil War without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. You can look up those letters in the National Archives. You can look up Jefferson and Adams' letters about the concern of the Jesuits coming out of suppression. Those 2 end up dying on the same day on the nation's birthday, July 4th, 1826. You can look up George Washington's letters about his concern for the Illuminati. Again, also part of the Jesuit network, part of this 201 thing. But going back to the March Madness with Baylor and Gonzaga. Again, Elgin Baylor went to Seattle U. The 2 Jesuit schools in Washington are Gonzaga, who was facing Baylor, not to be confused with Elgin Baylor, but Elgin Baylor died right before Gonzaga lost. Elgin Baylor died at age 86. See how Jesuits is 86? Elgin Baylor died at 86, and then Baylor beat Gonzaga in the championship with 86 points. Now, the thing is, from Elgin Baylor's last birthday to the championship game was exactly 201 days. And from the championship game to the coach of Baylor, who went to school in Indianapolis at Butler, it was 201 days to his upcoming birthday. And again, this stuff's just par for the course. I want to say they had a recent college football championship in the Dome in Indianapolis, if I'm not mistaken. And the former coach of Georgia was there, and they had to put up on the screen that he won 201 games with Georgia, and then it was like the same year that the Phillies were last in the World Series, and then he died last year, that same man, the day the Phillies opened up the World Series, and you can go on and on and on. This 201 number is so huge. There's a reason that Tom Brady's the chosen one in the NFL, born 201 years after the Illuminati in America, and his last scripted Super Bowl, he had 201 passing yards in his box score, and there's a reason that ESPN made a big deal when he got his 201st career win over the Rams in St. Louis. Rams equals 201 in Jewish gematria. Again, the ram's important to Judaism, just like this knowledge is. Jewish mysticism's 201, the ram's horn. Anyway, you blow it on Yom Kippur, the most holy day. We've seen some serious 201 rituals on Yom Kippur. Don't get me started on what they did in Vegas with the Route 91 Harvest Festival with Mr. 201 on the stage, Jason Aldean. But, and I think we got severely punished, or I should say I did, for being so dead on about that. Way before that happened, we had that whole weekend circled for why it was ripe for a major disaster. I predicted the worst terrorism in the U.S. since 9/11, and it was. 500 and some people shot, they reported. But all year we were reminding about why it was going to go down. At that time, synced up with Yom Kippur, and then my channel got deleted about, June 28th, so, a couple months before it happened, and then just I was like already on my 15th channel by the time it rolled around. They just kept deleting me for educating about what's going on in this nation, who's running the show, and why you got to watch out for those set of days. Yom Kippur about atonement for your sins, What city got shot up for the Yom Kippur ritual? Sin City, with Jason Aldean on the stage, who's now become a way bigger celebrity, and now he's used a divider. What's his song that's got everybody all in an uproar? Try that in a small town or something. It's just like, probably try anything in any town. It's like, who has backbone anymore? Everyone's inside watching Netflix and doesn't stand for anything. Try this in any town. But yeah, so here we are in Indianapolis, right? And here's what's saying. If you're new to my work, 44 and killing, right? 44 and killing. Kills 44. Executions 44. Shooting is 44. Mass shooter is 44. Gunfire's 44. Military's 44. Think about this in light of what just happened in Lewiston on the 44th parallel with the former military man shooting up all the locations with the April 4th 4-4 birthday, the anniversary of MLK getting killed. But soldiers 44 and infantry's 44 and troopers 44 and officer, and the list goes on, right? Big time killing number. Matthew Perry dead 44 years after, again, his first acting credit. So, hold on. Let me close some windows. Now we're here in Indianapolis, this shooting today, the day of the NFL game, and a rematch of Super Bowl 44, right? And either team can become 4-4 in the rematch of Super Bowl 44. In history, the Saints did win Super Bowl 44. It was after Katrina, if you recall. And Peyton Manning was the loser, and he was just lofting balls to the Saints secondary in the obvious script. But the big joke, too, the Saints had never won a Super Bowl. They were known as one of the lousiest football teams in NFL history, the Aints. And who was their quarterback for all those years? It was Peyton Manning's father. Father-son rituals. Matthew Perry's father in his 83rd year of life. Matthew Perry's 83rd Instagram post, and he's dead. Archie Manning can't win nothing with the Aints. Aints become the Saints, beating Peyton Manning. Clearly throwing the game away. And again, in Gematria, Saints got the 44 connection to win Super Bowl 44. So the big shooting number, and again, I'm just saying, what are the odds? How many times has there been a mass shooting in the news on the day of an Indianapolis football game? I don't think it's that many times, and it just happens to be on this anniversary. So, just happens to, also, just 4 being the number of death. The Perry from 90210, Luke Perry, he died 4 years ago. Now Matthew Perry, who also did some episodes of 90210, dead 4 years later. 4, the number of death from the Far East. In Mandarin, Chinese, and Japanese, you pronounce 4 the same as death. Manly P. Hall, where I learned about this knowledge from in his secret book, or the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. He also has a book about the numbers, 1 through 9, and shows how, 1 is the individual, 2 is the coming together, 3 is the offspring. After you've procreated and lived life, the next phase is the 4th phase, which is death, the afterworld phase. These are occult teachings. But both Perry's dead 4 years apart, probably not an accident. And I noticed this governor 4 days before his birthday. It's also 93 months since he took office. And again, just the whole Illuminati 20193 thing. How we're on a Sunday, the sun 93 million miles away. Let me see if I put it in here. Notice how they said this was a Halloween party shooting, right? Indianapolis, Indiana is 175, like Halloween party. This is following the news of Matthew Perry, whose full character name equals 175, and he's dead 175 days after the anniversary of the show concluding. Again, these things are not an accident. They're rituals. The numbers are a language. They're the reason. They're the locations. You just start to see how it's like they're again, spells and spelling. It's like they're performing a spell, and these are the ingredients right now to manipulate the energy field. The number right now is 175. And again, I only understand what I understand. I wasn't born into the occult. I'm studying this from the outside looking in. For years, it was like, what's with the numbers? Why are they doing this to us on 9/11, a national emergency? The towers are down in a perfect demolition. What's going on? Questions for a decade finally came to answers, and then a decade more is where we are now of research. So it's like a 20-year process of understanding as well as we do. You probably open the doors to the Church of Satan Jesuit handbooks. We could probably go 50 years further in advance. if we knew what they knew. You know what I mean? But we're putting together from the outside looking in, and we're not doing that bad of a job. And as far as I'm concerned, we've had it down well enough that the whole English-speaking world should have caught on by now and helped join me in spreading the word and ending this madness. And that means stop supporting these entertainment things, the NFL, the Hollywood. Just stop going to the films. Stop paying for the pay-per-view. We should really all end our cable. We should all just cut off this system. I mean, this is literally the beast satanic system where the people ruling over us, they've sold their souls. They don't care about anything than their own power and success and well-being in this life. And the rest is for naught. And you see what the consequences of that are. For anyone who embraces that, it's like, yeah, well, that's what I'm about too. It's like, okay, well, then you're going to be part of the continued destruction of the world. I mean, like, for people to look at this stuff and they're like, what's the point of knowing this? It's like, all right, what are you going to go turn on the TV and not even think about it? Do you have a soul inside? I mean, if you have a whole soul inside, I feel like you should just understand from just watching. Oh, wow, God, they're killing people in the entertainment world? Maybe I don't want to spend my money on this anymore. I don't want to support this. I mean, to me, that just seems like a logical, intuitive response. I feel like that's how I'd be if I wasn't me. I was somebody else who was looking for answers, like I was the old me trying to figure out what was the numbers. I feel like if I came across this, I'd be like, oh, damn. I don't think I want to buy the Friends new extra Blu-ray box set that comes out this holiday. I mean, I like the show a lot. And I'm just saying that. I've never even watched it, but I'm just saying if I was another person. But man, maybe I don't want to give my money to this. Maybe it'll be Aniston next or one of these other characters, Joey. And sadly, how many times have we seen that too, where the people start dying in close proximity to each other? They're from the same band, they're from the same show, they're dead almost a year apart to the day. They are dead a year apart to the day. I mean, there's just so many examples over the years, you guys, that we've been educating about these same things. And it's disheartening that more people don't care. Hey, by the way, another shooting in the news today, Tampa. Now, if you missed it, I went out to Buffalo after the top shooting and educated about this knowledge and why we had that date circled May 14th, 2022, for a really horrible mass death ritual in the world. Before it happened, I didn't know it was going to be Buffalo. I didn't know it was going to be the tops, but I knew something really ugly was going to happen that day because it was the 74th birthday of Israel. And not because I'm anti-Jew or anti-Semitic, but because I understand what's going on. When rituals of 74 come up, it's super deadly. Again, the 74th day of the year is to remember the killing of Caesar. And, you know, a lot of people left the same comment like, what's up with the bathtub deaths too? Why are there so many drownings in celebrity? Remember, killing is 74, stabbing is 74. The Ides of March, remember the killing of Caesar by stabbings on the 74th day of the year. For the record, Romans 74 as well. Notice how bathtub is 74. You know, notice how holiday is 74, like Independence Day. Like how 3 of the first 5 U.S. presidents died on 7/4 Independence Day. These things are not an accident. And the word drown itself also has the 74. So technically there is a 74 in the death of Matthew Perry. Again, drowning, water sign, Cancer, the moon, full moon, upcoming eclipse, sun and moon. Anyway, the Tampa thing. The reason I was saying this, when I went to Buffalo to educate about happening on the 74th birthday of Israel and then blaming it on a white supremacist, and again, I mean, you have to have enough pieces. The thing that annoys me is I can't really say the next thing without fear of having the whole video taken down. But the whitewashing of history is a real thing. You read the books removed from the Bible, like the book of Enoch. In that book, you learn about how based on what's written, you got to assume that the original Israelites, Hebrew, they're definitely darker complected people. It sounds like they're black. Not like the people we call Jewish today. And Jewish is another 74 word. You know, and so is occult, and so is Masonic, and so is English, and so is energy, and again, holiday, and goes with the World Trade Centers coming down on the 74th meridian west, and then mass killing for 20 years after that, only for Afghanistan's birthday, or Afghanistan's government to collapse on the Jesuit order's birthday. And again, the 3 of the first 5 presidents who all had a problem with the Catholic Church. And this facts, look up all 3 of them that died. They all either had a problem with the Catholic Church or the Jesuits. They all die, 3 of the first 5 on 7/4. You don't think this has been going on? I mean, I don't know how many more times I can explain the same things. If I can explain it any more clearly, I can write it down for people who read, which is hardly anyone. It becomes more clear, but That's the thing too. I guess that's also probably why I haven't finished my books. Because the whole time I just been pounding, keeping up with everything. I know that each video gets like more views, even though I hardly don't even get views anymore. But still, even the lowly views we get are like more reads than an entire book gets read. So it's like, in terms of waking up the world, a video almost takes way less time and might be more effective. I mean, it's just problem is they can take everything off the internet in a second, whereas they cannot take a printed book from your hands. And you guys, this is my first book. My second book's pretty big too. We put in work on this research to understand it as well as we do. But yeah, I still haven't made the point. When I went out to Buffalo, because I was there with my own eyes, you can watch the video from when I was on Buffalo. It's still up on Gematria Effect Sports. I said, isn't this weird that at the memorial for the Buffalo Tops, there's only one NFL team with RIP memorial type of tribute, and you got 3 teams in New York. You have the Giants, the Jets, and the Bills. None of those teams had the memorial. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I thought, that's really weird. And remember, this week we had the Maine shooting Wednesday night, and then the focus was on the manhunt and the lockdown in Maine all day Thursday. And then as we predicted, we predicted on the 44-day numerology Friday that we might get the conclusion of the story for the manhunt, and they predictably be found dead as they've done a million times. Sure enough, that's what happened. And they said they found his body behind a Walgreens, the pharmacy, when he was a psychotic. I mean, don't you get the jokes? He should have been on the antipsychotics. How many people are worried right now about their child on the internet because they're in forums getting information that goes counter to what the parents watching on Fox News? Now they think their child's a Looney Tune, and they're like, maybe he needs to be on an antipsychotic. The doctor thought it was a good idea. I mean, that's the world we live in now. Doctor's like, hell yeah, get him on antipsychotics. I got a huge bonus for that, man. I got kids to feed. Got another mansion to buy. Anyway, it's on an NFL Sunday, right? You had Tampa and the Bills playing on the day that everyone's focused on the shooting, and now it's Sunday, it's the NFL day. You got shootings in Indy in a significant matchup with them and the Saints. Again, for years we've been showing how all these things are scripted together. How many times have we called a sports outcome from understanding the latest mass shooting or scripted news story that went along with it? This shows that there's a network controlling all of these things, making sure they happen in accordance. All you guys who say, no, man couldn't do this. What you're saying is man couldn't do addition and planning dates and measurements. You're pretty much saying a man could never build a building, especially not on a timeline. A man couldn't release a sitcom and a series of shows. I mean, what you guys are saying is not making sense, There is an organic side to this code. There's a reason this knowledge was discovered, and there's a reason that in Kabbalah it's taught that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words, as crazy as that might sound. There is something to that belief. I'm not saying the world was created with numbers, letters, and words as it states, but you study this knowledge, you realize there is an organic side. This stuff in the news, though, where there's never any evidence and just like the same details, and they got to throw in the same times, and I mean, how many times have I decoded the police chief's name who's in charge of the scene? Like, this guy's name is Lean Bearcaw. What kind of name is that? 74, though. Lee Bearcaw. Is that his real name, or is that his stage name for when he goes before the cameras about the latest shooting in Tampa, where either it's theater for agenda or it's, Lee Bearcaw's in charge of the unit that's overseeing the MK Ultra lunatic. Again, people need to look into history. CIA admitted to the MK Ultra program. They say they ended it. Does that mean they ended it because they said they ended it? Okay, maybe they ended it and somebody else continued it on and expanded on it. How many dark budget operations are there in the government and units and former military units and things that nobody even knows about? Compartmentalization. My friend who worked at Boeing back when I lived in Seattle, he'd joke about how he probably... this is like around 2006, 2007. He was a really nice guy, and I liked everything about him. But a part of me, like inside, I was like, I think if I was him, I would not go to Boeing. I know it pays really well, but he'd joke. He'd say everything we do there is compartmentalized, so we don't even exactly understand what we're building. But I imagine a lot of it probably is the bombs that He'd make a joke about it that was almost funny in a way, even though it's sad and sick. But the guy I'm talking about was a cool, intelligent guy. He had a great wit. But the only thing I could say bad about him was I'd always think like, in the back of my mind, like, I would not work there, especially if you think that that's true. But he would say that the stuff I'm building is probably being used to blow up people in the Middle East with these wars going on. Imagine if everybody at Boeing just stopped. I'm not going to work here anymore. I'll only work if I know that I'm building a commercial plane. I feel like that's what needs to happen in humanity, and not just in America, the whole world. The whole world has the internet is connected this way. Should be like, you know what? Look at how all of our nations are playing us for fools. I'm showing how they're doing the same 201 stuff in China, in Russia, Ukraine, in this country, in that country, down in Latin America. This isn't just going on here. The Jesuits are worldwide. They've been well established. They're being warned about in books written by others before this nation even existed. We're so deep in the game. So anyway, if you haven't heard this song, look up this song, Murder by Numbers by the Police. You know? Again, came out in 83. Matthew Perry's last post, him in the jacuzzi under the moon. 83rd post, all time on his Instagram. You should listen to the song. It's pretty well done, the song as well, but I'll just read the lyrics. I can't sing, so I'll read it to you. Once that you've decided on a killing, first you make a stone of your heart. And let's not forget it's going on right now in Gaza. I mean, that's kind of what it's disheartening too. Out of all the great work I've been doing on Israel, not to mention we predicted what would happen with Israel the day Netanyahu came back with the war this year. And we thought it would happen right around when Yael turns 322 years old. And sure enough, it happened 2 days from that. But we said that on 12/29 last year, December 29, 2022. That work's gotten some views. Man, the video on Matthew Perry had way more views in a matter of hours than any of that work got the whole time. It's like, man, people care more about Matthew Perry's death than what's unfolding right now that can get very catastrophic for the world. It's not an accident that Netanyahu came back on Albert Pike's birthday. Albert Pike, whose statue came down 201 days before January 6th when Confederates 201, it was the only Confederate statue in D.C., and the Confederate flag flew that day. In their insurrection that they staged, that they simulated at Jesuit Georgetown on June 12, 2020, with the Transition Integrity Project. Look it up. But, yeah, anyway, Albert Pike wrote the letter about 3 world wars, too. The last one's between Zionism and Islam. So here we are, 83 years after the New York Times article about the New World Order being pledged to you-know-who. Once that you've decided on a killing, first you make a stone of your heart, and if you find that your hands are still willing, then you can turn a murder into art. There really isn't any need for bloodshed. You just do it with a little more finesse. If you can slip a tablet into someone's coffee, then it avoids an awful lot of mess. It's murder by numbers, 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABCs. Now, if you have a taste for this experience, if you're flushed with your very first success, then you must try a twosome or a threesome. You'll find your conscience bothers you much less. Of course, like anything, you do it the first time, the second time is easier. And I'm sure it makes sense. I can imagine. I never killed anybody, and I hope I don't have to kill anybody. At the same time, if there's ever a revolution, I know who's in deserving of what I would say is a defense. You know, at this point, if we were to take down the cabal that's doing this, I wouldn't see that as murder. I'd see that as self-defense and preservation. Before you become the next Matthew Perry and their ritual. You know, they had a lot of rituals like this that took out towns at a time in the world wars. They got them going on right now all over the world, like in Gaza. What they did in Israel, the thing in Israel. For people to understand what happened in Israel, Hamas is like controlled by our intelligence. Go see everything about it. And go see the video I put out on October 4th. October 4th, we got the emergency alert here, just like they got one in Russia. My video that night for TFR said we got to watch out for Saturday, October 7th, Putin's birthday. Looks like it might be a terrorist attack that day. Isn't that exactly what they said went down in Israel? And it was all foretold by understanding this knowledge. It's not an accident that they did that day, and they did it for Afghanistan after 9/11, the day leaving 85 days left in the year when Templars 85, and they did the Crusades. And they used to be headquartered in Jerusalem, the Knights of Solomon's Temple. But yeah, back to the song. Now, if you have a taste for this experience, again, if you're flushed with your very first success, then you must try a twosome or a threesome. You'll find your conscience bothers you much less. Because murder is like anything you take to. It's a habit-forming need for more and more. You can bump off every member of your family and anybody else you find aboard. That's like, what's that rapper? What's his name? Black Youngsta. And remember the day his album came out, we showed what it meant and why it was going to be bad for his family members. And then his third brother's dead for his 33rd birthday. Oh my. and his album was Illuminati, and his birthday. Look at this guy. He's got the same birthday as Matthew Perry's character. Black youngster with the Illuminati album. Remember Matthew Perry's character, Chandler Bing, is born April 8th, the day of the eclipse. Go back and watch the years, what we've been talking about, the deaths with this man's brothers since he put out his albums very ritualistically. Illuminati 48, he's got the 4/8 birthday. He put out the 223 album, 223, the 48th prime. Then it goes on, because it's murder by numbers, 1, 2, 3, it's as easy to learn as your ABCs. Now you can join the ranks of the illustrious. It's history's great dark hall of fame. All our greatest killers were industrious, at least the ones that we all know by name. Remember what they were doing last year on King Charles' 74th birthday? You had the killings on King's Road, and you had the Cavaliers killed at University of Virginia, the football players, when Cavaliers were those who fought for King Charles in the English Civil War. I still got to make it out to University of Idaho and teach those. I should be out there for the anniversary of that. I'm gonna try to make that happen. November 13th was the day of the killings for both, but the news broke for both on November 14th, King Charles' 74th birthday. Then it goes on, but you can reach the top of your profession, this is killing, if you become the leader of the land. Jeez, Joe Biden, what happened to your family, man? All dead in 201 rituals. For murder is the sport of the elected. Go figure. And you don't need to lift a finger of your hand. Hey, by the way, Donald Trump's been doing the same thing, so have a lot of people. They're all Jesuit educated too. Go figure. Because it's murder by numbers, 1, 2, 3, it's as easy to learn as your ABCs. Murder by numbers, 1, 2, 3, it's as easy to learn as your A, B, C, D, E. You know what's weird is how many times I've had people not respond to these type of videos, and then they'll just make a video about me saying that, oh, Zach's just teaching some bullshit, and even if it is true, it's just a small part of the world of truth to know. It's there's many things to know in this world. I don't disagree with that, but this thing that we're teaching, it's more than a small piece. I've never found anything that you can use to take advantage of sports games and rig news and see through the election before it happens and what to expect in the news and how to be prepared for 2020, 5 years before it happened with COVID, because we knew it was coming because of the 19-year cycle of the moon, which again fits in here with now Matthew Perry's death. And by the way, if we didn't do the Matthew 10:28 verse, I think we did, but just one more time. Again, it's all biblical. What are the odds that Matthew dies on 10:28? Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. That's also don't fear death. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. You want to know something interesting about the word hell? You see how hell has the gematria 71? So is Catholic 71. So is Talmud 71. So is Mossad 71. Remember this war in Israel popped off 71 days before the Pope's birthday on Vladimir Putin's 71st birthday. That other big enemy on the world stage where the Russia-Ukraine war popped off in the most massive 201 ritual there ever was in the Donbass region. Right after Alec Baldwin smoked the Ukrainian woman, the guy who portrayed Donald Trump, and Trump said if he was in there it wouldn't happen, as he's burying his ex-wife again on the turn first day of the year. Again, you guys, this is the club that George Carlin was talking about, who, by the way, also died in a Jesuit ritual synced up with an HBO special. It's like Matthew Perry. In case you missed it, one more time. Home box office, 126.54. Dead at 54, 126 weeks after the last Friends episode, the special on HBO, the reunion show. Okay. Yeah. I think that was thorough enough, Truth Seeker. I think we got it in there. All right, True Seeker, I've got my eyes on the chat. If there's anything in the chat that you guys want me to see that I'm missing, now is the time. If you guys got something else on Matthew Perry's passing, please let me know. Actually, hold on. People will miss what I showed in yesterday's video, too, about the Night Court actor dying. And, again, Richard Mole died the day prior. Well, the news broke the day prior. The news broke on date 80 numerology that he was dead at 80. And notice the gematria of Night Court. 54-135. Again, Bavaria is 54-135. The Bavarian Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt there. Germany is where Bavaria is. And Bavarian Illuminati, which is the other name for Order of Illuminati, is 80. So the night prior you had that. And as we talked about, I covered this more. He died at the end of his 41st week of his age. Brigham's 41. His first acting credit about Brigham Young, the Mason who created the Mormon religion. There's more to it, but again, when these entertainers die, so often they die in connection to their first work, the work they're most remembered for. And nothing's different here. Shout out to John Mendoza. Appreciate it, John. All right, here, my eyes are back on the chat. Mahomes has the flu, huh? Yeah, again, just while I wait for a good comment in the chat, again, have your head on a swivel, you guys. Don't live in fear, but if they really are going to start World War III, it could still be a number of years before it's impactful to us in the States, just like how it's been in the past World War. In fact, it's never touched the States, but it impacted Americans through the families that sent off soldiers who fought in the wars. And even if they didn't die, they might have come back a totally different person. War changes people. A lot of homeless veterans been on the streets for all of our lifetimes, messed up from war. MLK gave his best speech a year to the day of his assassination about how military was ruining the hearts and minds of men. And, but again, I mean, be prepared, you guys. Janet Napolitano, it's been a decade since 2013 when she stepped down from Department of Homeland Security, and she said the next 9/11 is not if, but when. And she said she specified what the next 9/11 would be. She said it would be the national power grid going down for a significant period of time, likely from some kind of cyber attack, or could be something else, EMP, all the different ideas they've given to us for how this could happen. If you live in a world where communications go down in this day and age, hey, we don't have landlines anymore. So just have a plan with your loved ones in case something crazy happens in the world. Hey, if this goes down and we can't communicate, and we know it's that day, let's have a plan to meet at this spot, you know? Having these kind of conversations, not to live in fear, but just to be aware. Hey, World War is being rumored. World War's been rumored for a long time. We've lived through Cold Wars. Could be nothing, but hey, in case it goes down. Do we have emergency supplies? Do we have non-perishable food? How much? How long could we last for? You know, we got 8 cans of tuna. Okay, there's 4 of us here. Okay, that's probably 2-3 days if we ration. Gonna be hungry, but rationing. I mean, and that's the thing too. Train your body to fast. Train your body to not need as much. You know, if you're used to working your ass off and fasting most of the day and eating at night, you'll be a lot better prepared for the fallout world. If you need a snack every 5 minutes, you're gonna be hurting. You know, discipline yourself, but make sure you have enough dry food, enough water, emergency supplies, flashlights, batteries, the things you would need. Something to start fire. You might need something to start fire. You got a lighter in the house. You got matches. Again, it's a good time to have these things. You know, there's a gentleman in this community who does great work. He's spending all his time right now fighting with trolls online. And he's trying to stick up for me and all the trolls who harass me nonstop. He doesn't need to do that. I look at that right now and I'm like, I hope he's prepared in case something crazy happens in the world sooner than we expect. I hope things are still years away. Eventually the things we're worried about, they will come here. You know? But, yeah, I just be making good use of your time these days, you guys. You know? And again, don't live in fear, but just say, all right, I'm aware. In case I'm prepared. The unfortunate thing would be if the day came sooner than expected and you weren't prepared. Then you'd feel in trouble. You wouldn't want to be in that space. A protection device. If you don't like guns, you don't have to get a gun. A great protection device is a can of bear spray. I mean, you can take out a army of dudes with bear spray. I know what it's like to get sprayed in the face with bear spray. I had Antifa do it to me for trying to educate them about Gematria. It was working with some of the group members, but then the infiltrators, probably the undercover cops and feds that were there, they didn't like it. But, yeah, I mean, bear spray, you hit somebody in the face with that, they're blind. And they're going to be blind probably for a long time. I had people dumping water over my face because I didn't have the right stuff there. But just people kept going to the store and getting buckets of water. I had people dumping water over my face for over an hour. for over an hour straight out in the cold. It was in January in Portland. But took over an hour before I could even see again. And yeah, again, you might want to have something like that in case Fallout World comes. You're in a desperate situation. Some crazy people are coming to mess with you. Take what you got because they don't got it because they weren't prepared. You might got to bear spray them. So got range, easy to aim, and then you don't have to feel bad about killing somebody. But they're not going to be seeing you anytime soon. You're going to be in a new state by the time their vision comes back. So yeah. Anyway, I'm serious, you guys. They've messed up this country. I hope nothing happens, but look at what they've done to the country. I mean, they've degraded its values. They've made it so that people don't have a way to communicate if the grid goes down. Pretty much, they got everybody spread out, families all over the place, and everyone's relying on the cell phone, which has never even been that good the whole time it's been here in terms of reception and all that. Got to pay a fortune to get a decent signal. It's like back in the day, your phone bill was $5 a month and it worked. And it would have worked through a fallout period too. Now try to get a landline. You can't get a landline anymore. You got to get through the cable company. It's hooked up to your internet. But I mean, you probably can if you really look into it. It's hard to find anyone who does a landline. Depends on what area you're in, probably. But yeah, I would make sure you guys. I'll tell you something weird that I noticed. So where Sweet Lady works, she works in a small medical clinic setting in this region of Washington State. They have multiple locations. All of their locations have been experiencing a lot of power outages and down systems over the last 2 weeks. And then I just had to meet with my accountant, and then they let me know that the last 9 days when I talked to them, which was on Thursday, they said last 9 days, man, which was the last 2 weeks for them too. Same thing as Sweet Lady. They said their system just kept going down. And then I am talking to my financial advisor guy too, and he said that their system's been going in and out a lot lately. The day I was talking to him, he was like, yeah, our computer's down right now, but they'll probably be back up. I was just like, wait a minute, I'm just talking to too many different people right now that are having way too many system outages. And that's the thing about the nation being compartmentalized. Like, you just start talking to different people, you're like, wait, this is more than just Sweet Lady. It's more than just my accountant. My financial advisor too? This is weird. And these could all be little signs building up to the greater climax. Don't forget all these big tech companies are all Jesuit run, as we've been educating about. You know, Facebook, established the same day DARPA's LifeLog ended. Their address for their headquarters is at One Hacker Way. Anonymous, the hacker group that wears the Guy Fawkes mask. Guy Fawkes, the Jesuit. Can you start to recognize what these symbols and things are? You start to see the game. So yeah, maybe that eclipse next year. Maybe that's going to be an important timeline. Kind of like how the jab went live in America the day of the total solar eclipse in the Pope's native Argentina. Maybe things start to get... Hey, here's just... I hope I'm wrong, but again, April 8th is the day of the eclipse. We talked about where Illuminati's 48, and so is Freemason, and this nation's named after a Freemason war general, or at least the nation's capital is. But notice World War's got that 48 too. So... the Jesuit logo, the sun with the eclipse. The Jesuits, a military order. You see how World Wars 114 and 102? If you didn't know this, Art of Wars 114 and 102. Look up why we know about Art of War. Supposedly written by Sun Tzu. There's no historical record of Sun Tzu ever existed. The reason we know about that text is not because of Sun Tzu. That's the name that gets written on it. It's supposedly by Sun Tzu. But funny enough, the reason we know about Art of War is because it was found and translated by the Jesuit priest Father Amiot. And you wouldn't believe how many times they've done 102, 114 in war rituals from Pearl Harbor to 9/11. Pearl Harbor's another 114. And September 11th, the federal government simulated Operation Amalgam Virgo. June 1st, 2001, 102 days before the attack. The cover document for the Fed sheet has Osama bin Laden's face. So, go all down the Osama bin Laden road, too. By the way, Osama bin Laden dead at age 54 on the 54th day of his age. Funny enough, terrorism's also 54, like Islam. And I'm not saying Islam is terrorism, but I'm saying, isn't it funny how it overlaps and how they form that in the minds of a lot of people? How many people are so scared of a man in a turban after 9/11 if they saw him anywhere? Programming. And these people didn't have anything to do with the two towers that became zero before they became one. You know, guys in this gang had a lot to do with it, though. So anyway, shout out to Frank the Truth Tank. These same generous people over and over. Appreciate it. I'm going to tell you guys some things that I've got planned and upcoming. You know, we've had goals for a long time, and it's been hard to get there. I have my dad getting on board with helping me out with ideas I have for this movement, and I'll keep you posted on how that goes. But yeah, we've got to find ways to get the resources to do things bigger now while we still can. And anyway, thank you to everyone who does support the work. Sorry to everyone who supports the work for just sports stuff. Obviously, not doing as well at sports as historically we have, but still, the knowledge is invaluable. And if you're selective, you're still doing well enough. But it's about the only thing I could say I wish was going better for this gematria work right now. Understand the work better than ever, but they've made the sports games harder than ever to call. And again, that's because what we've been exposing for a decade and taking advantage of. Still doing all right. Rangers were a huge payout on landing in the World Series. We thought they had a great shot to be there after the ritual they did in Game 1, synced up with George W. Bush, only for that guy to be thrown out the first pitch. It's comical. It's comical. Yeah, Halloween's coming up. Anniversary of the 95 Theses could get wild. We'll see. The book, The Language Crystal, huh? I need some more time to read. All right, but yeah, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. Lots to do. Have a great rest of your day. Depending on what happens, I might be back again, but I do have a lot of things to knock out today. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. If you guys do want to support the work, I got books out there. Hey, you can download my books for free. I'll tell you how to do that first. Here's how you can download my books for free. My name is Zachary K. Hubbard. If you just search that, you will find where you can buy my books. Well, it's still showing up there. I don't really have an IMBD. Somebody did that for our radio show. Don't start thinking I'm one of these Hollywood people. But what you want to do after you type in my name is just type in Subscribe Star. It's totally free. The Subscribe Star. I'm not going to ever change the Subscribe Star. You might find that and then have to click the link. But you'll land on this page when you get there, and you can download both of my books for free. Just click it. It'll download. It downloads as a PDF. You can read it on your ebook reader, your computer, your cell phone. If you don't have a PDF reader, just download the free Adobe version, then you will. Totally free. Or if you want to buy the ebooks, you can also buy them from my website. Same thing. You don't get anything extra. So you can either have the free version or you can have the version where you support the work a little bit. My website's GematriaEffectNews. Letters and numbers. That digital version of the book. It's nice to have a digital version because you can just search real quick. It's got a chapter that's over 100 pages long on celebrity deaths by the numbers. And keep in mind that book was written in 2017. It's become a lot more advanced with the research since then, but for somebody who's new to the work, it's probably better to go back and read those because a lot of it's more elementary. And then number games, wrote it down in paper when the COVID pandemic, when they would wind down the ritual that it was and was dead on, and that's in print. And that book came out September 2020, so... All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you as well, Gematria Sense. I don't think he's born in 56. His character's born in 56. Matthew Perry, hold up. Matthew Perry was born in 69, but his character that he played, the character's birthday is April 8th, 68. All right, True Seeker, we'll leave it there. Until next time.